in the kavanot of the Rashash, Rav Shalom Sharabi from the Arizal, of course, everything is. So we have what's called the matbeya beracha, the format of the beracha, what you're supposed to mechaven and think about, and the names of God, Yudke, Vavke, and other names, and spellings of the name, what you're supposed to think of. Now, this is for a Kabbalah class, which is not what we're doing here. This is not going to explain that. But we want to explain the hashkafa behind it, or if you want to say, the nimshal behind it. The mashal is the sefirot system, and the nimshal is how we make sense of it, which you'll see. We'll see what we're going to say about it. So just a few words of what the mashal is, even though if you're not used to it, you won't understand. Basically, when you're saying, Baruch Atah Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, borei pri ha'etz, let's say, this is Berchot HaNehenin, especially. So there's a certain format of what you're supposed to think of. Even all different berachot might have somewhat of the same, but just sticking with the Nehenin for now. The Arizal says you can make a great tikkun when you're mechaven the Berchot HaNehenin, which is foods of pleasure, or smell of pleasure. So we can be pleasurable in life and still get to the highest levels if you just do these things with it. You're going to eat the fruit anyway, at least accompany a little bit of thought with it, and it can take you to lofty places and bring, of course, a lot of beracha to our lives. That's why we want to do it. That's why it's beneficial. So just some of the terms. When a person says Baruch, everything's the Sefirot and Olamot, the worlds and the Sefirot system. So already you're thinking of Atik and Arich and Keter, and you're on the top. Baruch Atah, you're already going a little bit lower. Hashem, Melech HaOlam, it's true, you're going to go back up and then come back down. However the chart reads. But just as the nitty-gritty, when you're saying Baruch, you're also thinking of what's called, one of them is the Chabad of the Chagat. Now, what does that mean? It's still Sefirot. Chabad, we know, like Chabad, the Hasidim, they take their name because it comes out of the Sefirot of Chesed, Gevurah, and Da'at. So that's Chabad. Chesed, Chokhmah, Bina, and Da'at, from the top. So it's, Che, Be, De, so Chabad. So those are the top Sefirot. Now, Chagat is Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferet. Chagat, you're just making an acronym of them. So when we say the Chabad of the Chagat, it means the Chagat, which is down here. Well, let's say a whole thing. You're going to take the top part of it, which is the Chabad, meaning the top part of the whole thing, which is a lower part. You see? But all this is terms of Sefirot. We just want to know, where are you, the location. It's all Chesed, but there's thousands of Cheseds. One here, one here, one here, one here, one part of this one part of that one, like Sefirat HaOmer, Chesed of Chesed and Chesed of Gevurah. So imagine you had three, Chesed of Gevurah of Tiferet, something like that. So you'd be all over the place. In a chart, which is the world, you want to know where you are. It's just simply showing your location. So when you mechaven, you're targeting that spot. Imagine targeting a spot out of reality and creation. That's what it does. But that's for, advanced, if you want to do that. But now that's the mashal. So a nimshal that we can all take away from and do this. Think of this. It's still thinking. It's still kavanah and thinking. While you're saying the beracha, you can think this, which is what we're going to say now, which is relevant for any common person. You don't have to get into all what we just said. And it was just one example. Imagine going through all more. But that's the study. Now, we have to look at it this way. Why do I have to think of all the levels in Shamayim? The place here, the chesed up there, this one here. What do I have to think about all that when I'm praising God? if I eat a fruit. This is a lemon, not going to eat it like that. But of course, any fruit, if you make a beracha and you eat it. So why do I have to think of all that for? And the answer is because of this. Here's a lemon. Let's take this as an example since we have one. This lemon did not start here. What do you mean start here? It was on a tree and we got the lemon. It did start here. It started new on a tree. Where else is it starting from? Okay, let's see. Not so fast. Let's just say this was edible like that. Let's say I took a bite of it, or an apple. I took a bite of the apple. Now, so I ate. But now all my cells, the little cells, are going to eat. All the nutrients is going to be distributed throughout the body. So the cells will eat also. When I take a bite, all the cells will start to eat. Now, what do you think they're eating? You think they're eating the drippings and the leftovers and the garbage that I'm eating and it's coming like that? Would you want to take food out of your mouth and go like that and give it to someone to eat? Who wants to eat the leftovers of what you bit? You think they're interested in eating it like that? Is it disgusting for them? I wouldn't want to eat what's in somebody's mouth. Why is the cell eating the stuff that's dripping from my mouth and going now down? Maybe disgusting. Why would they eat like that? So we know how it works, all in biology. They don't eat like that. It's true, when I take a bite, all the drippings and the pieces of food that was in my mouth is all trickling down, it's true. But whoever's in charge in here, meaning the system, of course God's doing it all. Because there's delivery men, there's, the cells delivering the nutrients. So whoever's doing what? Packages the leftover from what you brought down from your throat. They package it to be microscopic, cell size, and new. It's a new thing. The cell isn't eating the drippings from your mouth. It's being presented to them as a new item and a new packaging that's cell-like, that's fit for a cell. They get a new package and they open it and they say, oh, food, and they eat. We don't know what it looks like. We're not in there and down there, but it's a world in here. That's why we say we're cells within cells. That's a sefirot within sefirot, like we always talk about. We have 10 systems, respiratory, circulatory, and the cells have 10 little organelles. So we're a big cell, and little cells make us up. That's what it means, cells within cells. You see how? So it's all happening the same way. So I eat, and they get a new food, and they eat. So, who says my new food started here? It didn't. Someone above took a bite of something, and it trickled down, not as garbage and out of the mouth, a new thing. It's true, it grew on the tree. But that was just being presented as a new thing to be edible on our level. And then it'll be edible to the cell level as a new item. But it's all the same piece. So somebody took a bite up there and landed down here a lemon on a tree. And a steak and everything. Everything's coming down because of a bite upstairs. It didn't start here. This lemon didn't start here. It started up there. So now, let's just understand this. When I'm going to now eat this lemon or apple, it would be appropriate for recognition to God that I acknowledge that the lemon didn't start here. It started up there. So when I say, Baruch, thank you Hashem, and you're the source of all blessing, I'm thinking of higher sefirot, which is in Shamayim. Oh, up there it started. That's how I'm thinking. And by doing that, well, we'll see why. So we're acknowledging the truth of the matter. I have to think of higher realms because I'm acknowledging that's where this came from. You see? Now there's a pasuk here in Ekev. And of course you have the famous Birkat Hamazon. Birkat Hamazon, V'achalta v'savalto berachta et Hashem Elokecha. But not this pasuk we're playing on. This one. This is on Ekev, chapter 8, pasuk 3. Gimel. Chet Gimel. It says, Lo ala lechem levado yichyeh adam. Not on bread alone does man live. Ki al kol motza fi Hashem yichyeh adam. Anything that comes out of God's mouth, man lives on. So it's really God taking the bite, and it's all trickling down to us, so to speak. Not that God really eats. This is all kivayachol. Like when we say he eats the korbanot, the sacrifices. Not that he eats it, but it's, so to speak, and the system eats it upstairs, however that is, meaning. And the malachim eat, however that is, and then it trickles down to us. Now, if God's eating kivayachol, so what do you mean whatever comes out of his mouth? If it comes out of his mouth, it's not going into the system. So it's true, when we say God eats, like he's eating the sacrifice, so it's to go into the system, not outside of the system of the creation, meaning. But you can look at the word just to make it fit that way. Ki al kol motza fi Hashem. Not whatever comes out of his mouth. Of course, it's the Torah and the talk and the learning that comes out of his mouth that we live on. That's what it basically means, of course. But if you want to play on it with food also, like sacrifices and anything, you can say whatever is motza fi Hashem, whatever is found in his mouth, now we live on. You see, you could take the word motza not as outside, but as in the inside, because it's whatever is found in God's mouth, kevayakol, or the large mouth in heaven that God created. But we don't say God is the Sefirot, he made them, but we still reference God to that, connected to that. So then it follows what we're saying. God takes a bite, and then everyone eats. The angels eat, we eat, and everything's good. Now, what do you mean God takes a bite? So God will take a bite. First of all, what is there to bite? There's nothing up there. There's no food. It's all ore. Ore is light. So God, everything kivayachol, God will bite. Or the big mouth up there, like we say, Resha, Yatir, Resha Satim, the uppermost head, right? And we say in Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the uppermost hidden head. So it means there's a head because it's a big body. Not that that's God. God made that. But he's like the neshama in the whole thing. That's how the Malbim explains. So when we say chesed, of course, it's his chesed, but not that he is chesed. You know, we have to be careful how we word it all, but that's how the wording is. So it means whoever's taking, as the bite's being taken, so to speak, into the system and into the body, there's only what's around is ore, is the light of God. So everything's ore, light. So light is whatever the angels eat. Light became, the leftovers of light became the lemon. And then the leftovers of the lemon is going to be what the cells eat. It's all from light. That's what everyone's eating. It's all ore. And that's what everything is. Everything's coming from ore. So we're acknowledging that as we do our thinking of the kavanot, of thinking basically whatever I'm eating here started from up there. So what's the benefit now? When I say Baruch and I think it started up there, Atah trickled down, came down, and finally I got it. Borei Pri Ha'etz, and I bite. What's the benefit of that? By doing that, here's the key point. This acknowledgement and doing the right thing helps now that another bite upstairs has been taken. If I don't bite this lemon, my cells won't eat or bite anything. I have to eat for the cells to get anything. So God has to also take a bite, so to speak, or the uppermost mouth has to have something in it for everyone to eat. The angels, everybody's eating from that initial bite. Now, who's gonna bite? You don't just bite out of nowhere. It's all dependent on us down here. So when our little cells, which is us the little cells, meaning, when we acknowledge that God is the one who's sending everything, that takes another bite for everyone to eat. So as we make a beracha on food, more food is generated for everybody, the angels and everybody, and they're counting on us. They can't do it. They can't say a beracha and make food come. Only we do. We cause the food to come with the beracha. But the more you intend to say, thank you, Hashem, I see and I know it starts from up there, from you, and it trickled down to me, that's what causes another bite to be taken. So this is again the nimshal, like a story explaining the higher ideas. And you need both. You need to know the names and the sefirot and where it is, or just in general. And you need to know the story behind it, which is this what I've just mentioned, how the whole thing works. Now it makes sense. You can't just do names of God and not have any understanding of anything. That's not really right either. You have to have both. If you want to mechaven something from the Rashash, you should also know a little bit of what the story is behind it. Bezat Hashem will have much beracha.